This is FE Peer Review. The date is July the 18th, 2021. Review of problematic sky-free Earth surface experiment. The channel name is Sky-Free, and the video is called Earth Surface Experiment. A link will be in the description. I'm critiquing this video on two fronts. First of all, it does not see what it claims to see. And second of all, it's a very good example of what happens when you basically do not calibrate your equipment. In this case, the equipment being the flat/level surface of the tennis court. I came across this video in the comment section. It was linked or mentioned in the comment section of one of Ranty Flerfspective's recent videos here. A very enjoyable video by Ranty that I am very informative and insightful, and I encourage people to go watch it. I will make sure there's a link in the description. In the comments, there was a certain person leaving named Andy, who left a number of comments and got into good conversation with people there. And that's what brought my attention to Sky-Free. So Andy says, there's a great channel called Sky-Free doing some observations, including objects disappearing from the bottom up over a distance of 600 feet. And he says it's the first video on their channel. And then I responded to Andy, having looked at the video, and basically this video is an extension of my response to Andy. This is the description on Sky-Free's channel, the description from the video that we're going to be looking at, and I've underlined the salient point here. Sky-Free says that this experiment proves, however, that the same phenomena is witnessed on a known flat surface. We've all heard that boats sailing out at sea and appearing to sink below the horizon is proof of a spherical Earth. Grammar issues aside, the underlined sentence has two problems. So I'm assuming that same phenomena that's being referred to here is the boats appearing to sink below the horizon. That's the phenomenon, singular, that is being compared to what we're going to see. And second, the author makes reference to a known flat surface. Known. Here's a quick overview of the video. There's a setup, which is there's this large tennis court, and they're treating the tennis court as a large flat surface like the sea going out to the horizon, and they're scaling. They're doing a scaled version of a boat on the horizon observation. Feel free to pause this at any point to read the stuff that's on the screen. I'm not going to take the time to read it. You can do that yourself if you'd like. So they place this object at the far end of the tennis court. It's a clay bowl with a distinctive rim. And then this view is from 8 feet away. They took successive images from further and further back, increasing the distance between themselves and the bowl. I've added these two little red lines horizontally across the middle. I broke it so that you could see the bowl clearly. This is the first sign at 44 feet away that we're seeing a bit of mirroring happening, miraging at that red line. So you can see that the rim of the bowl has gotten thicker because it's actually being mirrored, and you can see the shadows of the fence posts turning back on themselves. That's evidence of miraging. Here we're further away, 68 feet. The miraging is more pronounced. We can now see the reflection, the mirrored part of the red bowl, and more of the fence posts bending. So we're seeing significant miraging happening here. There's further away still, 104 feet, 146 feet, 172 feet. I think that's as far as they went in this video. There may be other, I think there's a second video in this set, but I'm not going to review it for the moment because they need to solve the problems in this video first before I spend time reviewing another that has the same mistakes. So there, the bowl has almost completely disappeared, and it's mirroring. The mirrored line has moved up to the point where we don't see the rim at all. We will now do a quick comparison of the various images taken at different distances. You can see that the bowl is not apparently disappearing below a horizon. It is disappearing due to a mirage line moving up. So, first the obvious. We're not seeing the bowl disappear from bottom up. We are seeing strong signs of miraging. So this video does not show what its author claims it to show. This bowl is not sinking below a horizon, or even appearing to sink below a horizon. It is not comparable to observations of boats disappearing from bottom up at the horizon. In the description, as a reminder, in the description of the video, it said we've all heard that boats sailing out at sea and appearing to sink below the horizon is proof of a spherical Earth. This experiment proves, however, that the same phenomena, no, not happening in this video, is witnessed on a known flat surface. Sorry, but no. This is not appearing to disappear below a horizon. So you did not show what you claim your video shows. Here it is, and here are some photos of boats and also wind turbines disappearing below a horizon. And I will point out that in the bottom two pictures, they're extraordinarily clear, very clear atmospheric conditions, almost no miraging effects at all or distortion of the geometry of the objects. If you look closely at the very farthest wind turbine here, where I'm circling my mouse, the one at the bottom there is some very, very slight distortion happening right at the horizon line. But if you look at these nice straight arms on these wind turbines, you see that there's really no problem in terms of clarity of the image. Same with this video on this photo on the left. You can almost read the text on these containers. The quality, the atmospheric quality is so clear on these pictures. On this upper one, we do have a mirage line. Let's see if I can show that. It's happening right about there. So there's a bit of mirage happening there. But we also see that a really significant piece of that boat is missing. And the very small amount that's mirroring doesn't begin to take up as much space as required to conceal all of what's missing. Now, the not so obvious. Is the tennis court flat? It sure looks flat. But it better not be flat. In the real world of construction, flat is never really flat. There are always imperfections. Aim for flat, and this is what you get. Localized low spots and ponding. Not what you want on a sports field. Here's an article, granted an old article, but tennis hasn't changed all that much, nor the design of sports fields. An article from Concrete Construction Magazine, How to Design and Build Reinforced Concrete Tennis Courts. It says here, outdoor courts made of non-porous materials such as concrete should be built to a pitch of 1 inch in every 10 feet with the entire playing area in the same plane. 1 inch in every 10 feet, for those of you who are comfortable with metric, that's 1 inch in every 120 inches, or slightly under a 1% slope. And they're saying that the entire surface of the playing area should be in one plane. If you read the rest of this, you'll see that they give some guidelines where you have multiple courts next to each other. It should the individual playing areas can slope separately from each other. In fact, they probably should. But within each rectangle, you want a continuous pitch. Going back to our picture of a tennis court, the author writes, this experiment can be repeated on any surface you know to be level/flat. A warehouse floor, a basketball court, a tennis court, etc. Well, okay, so first of all, by definition, if this court was properly built, it will not be level. It will be pitched. And within each individual playing area, it will be flat, not level, flat, but it actually should not be flat across all three. That's a very large surface to make pitched in one direction. Very likely what was done was between two of the courts, for example, between the closest and the second court, there might be something of a ridge line going horizontally across the screen here, with everything towards us sloping down towards us and everything beyond that ridge line sloping down to the back fence. It could be that there's a line here separating these first two, or it could be they placed the line separating the second and third courts. Now, the pitch at 1 inch over 10 feet is really hardly perceptible to most people. You would not notice it, and you certainly would not be able to see it easily. It would not be a hard line in the ground. The transition from one to other, from one pitch to the other pitch, would not be a hard line. It would be smoothed off to make an easy transition. So the fact that we don't actually see a line on the ground does not mean that there is not a change in pitch. There most certainly is a change in pitch on this court somewhere if it's been built properly. Let's look at some other reasons why that tennis court, or as the author mentions, a warehouse floor, cannot be relied on to be either flat or level, two different things. They may not have been made that way on purpose, for example, drainage in an outdoor surface, but they may also have been made both flat and level at the start and not remain flat and level. There's a phenomenon in when you make concrete slabs where it's called curling, and over the course of a few weeks, it can even take many months, but often becomes apparent in a few weeks, you can get an effect called curling where it may sort of cup upward with the corners lifting, or the reverse can happen and the center can cup and it can be lower in the corners. And this is a factor of the surface underneath the concrete being either too wet or too dry when the concrete is placed. So what happens is the lower surface of the concrete and the upper surface of the concrete cure and dry out at different rates. And when that happens, the concrete can actually curl. Now, again, this is a very, it's a small phenomenon. I mean, in that the curling might only be on the order of 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch. You know, that would be, say, 3 to 6, 4 to 8 millimeters. Visually, you may not see it at all, just standing there looking at it under normal lighting conditions. But if you got down on your hands and knees with a straight edge, you might well see it. Here's an example. This is the lower photograph shows a problem of curling. This is a warehouse floor where the four slabs come together at a joint, and the four slabs have curled. Now, it's typical in very large warehouses that the slabs are poured in separate sections because concrete does shrink considerably as it cures. So they will pour the concrete in separate sections at separate times so that they don't crack during the curing process. However, 3 of these slabs for sure, and I can't say about the 4th one at the top, but 3 of them curled with the corners coming upward. So then what happened was the corners of the slabs have curled up ever so slightly. There's now a slight gap between the bottom of the slab and the gravel underneath. So those corners are no longer supported by the gravel below. Somebody in the warehouse comes along with a heavily loaded forklift and drives over those corners, and the concrete deflects under the weight of the loaded forklift and cracks diagonally, going back down to the gravel again. So that's why you see this pattern of cracking. That happened because these corners curled. So there you are in your warehouse trying to take the advice of Skyfree to do some observation, and you have no clue that this is a phenomenon that could totally screw up your observation because you haven't done your homework. You haven't calibrated your floor surface. You got to check to see that your floor surface really is flat and level. Just because you think it is doesn't mean it is. Calibrating equipment and understanding the limitations of equipment is essential and basic to doing good scientific work. The upper photograph shows us another floor slab. Here, this isn't a problem of curling. This is just bad concrete placement. It's probably an office building of some kind. And we can see from this straight edge here that it's a very wavy floor. Well, let me assure you, you may not believe me on this point. I can't do anything more than assure you and encourage you, if you ever have the opportunity, to go and check for yourself. If you were to clear everything out of this room, take out all the equipment, get the people out, sweep the floor nice and clean, and stand there at a normal standing height, not down on your hands and knees like this photograph was taken, you would not, simply by looking, you would not notice that that floor was flat. Now, if you did get down on your hands and knees with a straight edge, you'd see that it isn't. But just standing there looking at it, you'd say, oh, looks flat, I'll do my experiment. That is not good enough. You've got to check. So my message to Skyfree is you did not show what you claimed you would show, which was the appearance of something sinking below the horizon, and you did not show that the surface you are working with was either flat or level. So basically, the two things that you made claims about in this video. This experiment proves, however, that same phenomena is witnessed on a known flat surface. The two claims you made, that it shows the same phenomenon and it's a known flat surface, are both incorrect. That makes the observation useless, except as a learning experience. Thank you very much. I don't think I will bother reviewing the second half of this person's video, but I may take on some of the other ones that they've done. Looks like there's some good material there. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please do subscribe and hit the like button. I usually fail to remind people to do that, and so consequently they fail to do that. Do me a favor and like this video and share it with a friend. Have a great day. Bye-bye.